She was the funniest woman on television, but her heart was often broken. Lucille Ball made millions of people laugh, but behind her bright smile, she was hiding a lot of pain. Her life was not as perfect as it looked on screen. Every joke and every scene came from a woman who was tired, hurt, and still hoping for love. While fans laughed at her shows, she cried alone at night. She gave love again and again, even when it left her in pieces. This is not just a story of fame, it is the true story of a broken heart. Before we dive into video, please subscribe to our channel. Lucille Ball's life was full of struggles that many people never saw. She was born in 1911 in New York, and her father died when she was just 3 years old. After that, her family became very poor. Lucille had to move around a lot, and she often felt like she did not belong anywhere. From a young age, she dreamed of becoming a star, but success did not come easy. When she went to Hollywood, people told her she was not beautiful enough to be a leading actress. She worked in small roles for years, often feeling invisible. Still, she never gave up. She kept trying, kept smiling, and slowly made her way up in the industry. Even when she became famous with her hit show I Love Lucy, her personal life was full of pain. Her marriage to Desi Arnaz was filled with love, but also lies, drinking, and cheating. Lucille wanted a happy family, but she suffered multiple miscarriages before finally having 2 children. The pressure of being a wife, a mother, a producer, and a star was too much at times. Behind the camera, she dealt with anxiety, trust issues, and a constant fear of losing everything she had worked for. People saw her as strong and funny, but she was also soft and sensitive inside. She cried in silence, carried pain in her heart, and still showed up every day to make others laugh. Lucille Ball's story is not just about fame, it is about fighting through heartbreak, pushing past rejection, and holding on to hope. Her life teaches us that even the brightest stars can feel alone. Her courage was not in her comedy, it was in her ability to love, even when it hurt the most. Now we talk about 6 men she loved the most, and the reason may surprise you. Number 1. Desi Arnaz. Desi Arnaz was not just Lucille Ball's husband, he was the great love of her life. Their love story began in 1940 when they met on the set of a film. Lucille was instantly drawn to his charm, energy, and Cuban accent. Desi was wild, fun, and full of life. He made her laugh like no one else ever had. Within a year, they got married in secret. When they created I Love Lucy together, their love became part of television history. They acted like the perfect couple on screen, but off-screen, things were different. Desi loved Lucille, but he also loved partying, drinking, and gambling. He was often unfaithful, and Lucille knew it. Still, she stayed hoping that love would change him. They had 2 children together, which brought her happiness. But the pain of broken trust kept growing. Lucille worked hard to save the marriage. She even started her own production company, Desi, just to keep them close. But Desi's habits did not stop. The pressure, fame, and his behavior slowly destroyed what they had built. In 1960, after 20 years of love, heartbreak, and trying to fix what was broken, Lucille finally filed for divorce. She cried through the entire court hearing. Even after the divorce, she always spoke kindly of him. She once said, "He hurt me more than anyone, but I never stopped loving him." Desi Arnaz was her biggest joy and deepest pain all in one. Number 2. Gary Morton. After her painful divorce from Desi Arnaz, Lucille Ball felt lost. Her heart was tired, and she no longer believed in fairy tale love. That is when Gary Morton came into her life, a stand-up comedian who was not famous, not flashy, but exactly what she needed. Gary was kind, patient, and steady. He was not interested in stealing the spotlight. He admired Lucille, not just as a star, but as a woman who had been through so much. They met in 1960, and from their first date, Lucille felt something different, calm. Unlike Desi, Gary did not drink heavily. He did not chase other women. He did not bring drama into her life. He simply made her laugh. Not on screen, not for the audience, but in private, where it mattered most. They got married in 1961, just 1 year after her divorce. Friends noticed that Lucille looked more relaxed, more grounded. With Gary, she could finally let go of the pain she had carried for years. He supported her career, stood by her side during interviews, and respected her role as a powerful woman. Lucille often said that Gary was not her grand passion, but he was her home. And after all the storms she had lived through, home was what she needed most. They stayed married until her death in 1989. He never betrayed her, never left her side. Gary Morton may not have been her wildest love, but he was the one who made her feel safe and truly loved. Number 3. Alexander Hall. Before Lucille Ball became a household name, before the fame and heartbreak, there was Alexander Hall, a film director who saw something special in her long before the world did. Lucille met Alexander in the late 1930s, during her early Hollywood years. At the time, she was still taking small roles and trying to find her place in a tough industry. Alexander was older, more established, and respected in Hollywood. He noticed Lucille not just for her beauty, but for her wit, drive, and determination. While most men only saw her looks, he saw her talent. Their relationship was never full of drama. It was calm, respectful, and helped shape Lucille's confidence. He gave her small roles in his films and introduced her to important people. He encouraged her to keep going when others told her to quit. Lucille, in return, looked up to him and trusted him. Some say Alexander wanted to marry her, but Lucille was unsure. She was young, focused on her career, and not yet ready for a lifelong commitment. Still, their time together left a deep impression on her. Even after their romantic relationship ended, they remained friendly. Lucille always spoke highly of him, calling him a gentleman who treated her with respect when she needed it the most. Alexander Hall was not the love of her life, but he was the man who gave her confidence when she had none. He was her quiet beginning, the first spark before the spotlight ever found her. Number 4. Henry Fonda. Henry Fonda and Lucille Ball never made headlines as a couple, but those close to them always sensed something special between the two. It was a quiet, private connection, one built on mutual respect, admiration, and a deep understanding of each other's lonely hearts. They met in the early days of their Hollywood careers. Both were rising stars, both carrying emotional baggage, and both deeply focused on their work. Lucille was drawn to Henry's calm nature. He was quiet, thoughtful, and kind, very different from the loud, wild men she usually fell for. Henry admired Lucille's strength and how she kept going, even when life knocked her down. They spent time together off-set, talking for hours. There was no rush, no drama, just warmth. It was the kind of slow-burning connection that could have turned into something beautiful. But timing was never on their side. Lucille was building her career, and Henry was going through personal struggles of his own. He had been through failed marriages and was dealing with emotional wounds he never fully opened up about. They cared for each other deeply, but neither was ready to take the next step. Some Hollywood insiders believed their relationship was romantic for a short while, but both Lucille and Henry stayed quiet about it. Maybe it was out of respect. Maybe it hurt too much to talk about what might have been. Henry Fonda was the one who showed her love could be gentle, even if it was never meant to last. Number 5. Orson Wells. Orson Wells was not the kind of man Lucille Ball usually fell for. He was not her co-star, not her lover in the traditional sense, but he captured her mind like no one else ever had. They met in Hollywood circles during the 1940s. Orson was already famous for Citizen Kane, known for his genius and bold creativity. Lucille admired intelligence, and Orson had it in abundance. He, in too. RN was intrigued by her strength, humor, and ambition. They would talk for hours about art, fame, fear, and the cost of being extraordinary. There was an undeniable spark between them. Though their relationship was never fully romantic, it was more emotional than physical, a meeting of two complex souls who saw behind each other's masks. Lucille often felt misunderstood by men, but Orson understood the real her. He saw through the actress and into the woman, the one who cried at night and carried the weight of rejection, pain, and pressure. He made her feel smart, not just funny, respected, not just adored. Though they never became a public couple, their bond was intense. It lingered in late-night phone calls, quiet conversations at parties, and the kind of closeness that never quite fades. Orson was never hers, and she was never his. But for Lucille Ball, he was the man who touched her soul without ever touching her hand. The one who reminded her that love does not always need to be loud to be real. Number 6. Buster Keaton. Buster Keaton was not a romantic partner in Lucille Ball's life, but he was someone she deeply loved in a different, quieter way. He was her teacher, her mentor, and one of the few people who truly understood the art of making people laugh. When Lucille was still struggling in Hollywood, she met Buster Keaton, one of the greatest silent film comedians of all time. He was much older, and by then, his career had faded, but his knowledge of comedy was unmatched. Lucille respected him more than almost anyone in the industry. Buster took her under his wing. He taught her the secret language of physical comedy, how to fall, how to use silence, how to turn pain into laughter. He told her that timing was everything, and that her face could tell a story without saying a word. Their bond was never romantic, but it was incredibly deep. Lucille called Buster H. her silent genius and credited him for shaping the Lucy everyone came to love. He gave her tools, confidence, and encouragement when the world told her she was not funny enough. She often spoke of him with warmth and gratitude, saying he helped her become the performer she was meant to be. In a world full of noise and fake smiles, Buster was a quiet, honest presence she cherished. Lucille did not just admire Buster Keaton, she loved him like family. And in many ways, his love and guidance lasted longer than any romance ever could. Lucille Ball's journey through love was filled with passion, heartbreak, healing, and unforgettable memories. Each man in her life brought something different: joy, pain, wisdom, or calm. But no matter how broken her heart was, she never gave up on love. That is what made her so human behind the legend. Her story is not just about laughter, but the tears no one saw. Now tell us which of these 6 men was your favorite? And when did you first see Lucy on your TV screen? Was it I Love Lucy or something else? Let us know in the comments.